Hello everybody, Ellie here for WhoCulture, and something is happening. Disney have started running some new Season 1 teasers on TikTok and also on YouTube. There are a couple of new shots in this trailer, but there's one in particular that has completely broken our minds, and it is this one here. With the 14th... He's not the 14th Doctor, Ellie, he's the 15th Doctor. With the 15th Doctor standing inside what looks to be a memory Tardis. Now, for those of you who don't know, and actually there might be quite a lot of you who don't, and we'll get into explaining why that is in just a second, the memory Tardises were introduced in last year's spin-off Tales of the Tardis. So each Tales of the Tardis episode was basically this mega edit of some of the classic serials. And then there was some new recorded scenes that were added at the beginning and the end of those serials. And these new scenes were set inside a memory TARDIS. Now, the 7th Doctor described the memory TARDIS this way: a specific place where old friends come together to share stories, to remember, and to confront difficult truths. And then the 6th Doctor says, this is a remembered TARDIS. All those stories we shared, their memories live on here like ripples on an eternal pond, forever moving, forever repeating. Sometimes those memories come back to us through space and time when we least expect it. Think of it like the pensieve in Harry Potter. Basically, it's all about looking into the past, getting answers from the past, or confronting difficult truths from your past, like the Doctor said. So then the question is, what is the 15th Doctor doing inside one of these? It is important to note that there are a lot of Doctor Who fans who have not seen Tales of the TARDIS because it was only made available in the UK on BBC iPlayer. So that does make it slightly weird when you have half of the fan base going, oh my god, it's a memory TARDIS, and then you have the other half of the fan base going, it's a what now? Obviously, I'm sure that if this memory TARDIS does become relevant to Season 1, they will go back and explain so that audiences who didn't see Tales of the TARDIS would understand what the concept of this particular area is. It's just another reminder that actually the first kind of official Whoniverse spin-off was largely unavailable to the vast majority of its audience. And obviously it now seems like that spin-off is becoming more relevant than we originally thought it was. Something else that is worth noting is that Season 1 was conceived of and filmed way before Tales of the TARDIS was. Season 1 started filming in December 2022, but Tales of the TARDIS wasn't filmed until September 2023. In fact, it wasn't even thought of until July 2023. Basically, Russell T Davies explained this in Doctor Who magazine, that he worried that they hadn't done enough for the 60th anniversary in terms of celebration, and so they came up with Tales of the TARDIS and put it together fairly quickly as a little bonus extra for the 60th celebrations. But in other words, if you look at it like that, it would seem that the memory TARDIS was actually a concept made for Season 1, which was filmed first, as opposed to Tales of the TARDIS. Either that, or it wasn't originally in Season 1, they came up with the concept for Tales of the TARDIS, really liked the idea of it, and then went back and did reshoots to incorporate it into Season 1. Anything is possible. Okay, so let's move on to some theories. I mean, the biggest question is, what the hell is going on here? You know, we know that memory TARDISes are something to do with the past, so what does 15 need from the past? Straight away you have to look at the most obvious reason for this, and that is cameos. So in our WhatsApp group, we've kind of made the joke before that the memory TARDIS is basically the cameo TARDIS, because that's basically what it was in Tales of the TARDIS. It was a way that they could incorporate these brief cameos and explain how certain characters could be in these kind of like pockets of time and exploring their memories. And that could be the case here. You know, could we see 15 looking to one of his past selves for answers, for truth, for help? You know, could a previous Doctor maybe then appear in this memory TARDIS in this episode of Season 1? So maybe he needs advice or he needs guidance in some way from a previous incarnation. Or maybe he even wants to confront one of his past selves about something, you know, like that therapy in reverse. And there is precedent for that. I mean, if you look at the Day of the Doctor, you had 10 and 11 and the War Doctor facing up to the horrors of their past with regards to the Time War. So on a similar note, there have been lots of rumours that Season 1 is going to involve a villain of the past, whether that's the Valiard, the Timeless Monk. The Timeless Monk? I've just made up a villain. The Valiard, or the Rani, or the meddling monk is where I was trying to go with that. The timeless monk? Hit me up, Russell. I've come up with a new concept for you. So, what if the Doctor, 15, is using the memory TARDIS to seek guidance, to seek help from whichever incarnation of the Doctor actually came face to face and fought whatever particular villain may or may not appear? You know, so maybe he needs to contact the first Doctor in order to find out about their experience with the meddling monk, for example. It's like, oh, okay, right, let's link this to being a Trekkie. We all know that myself and Sean, big Trekkies, we like to cross our paths every now and then, and we know, more importantly, that Russell T Davies is a Trekkie. So think about Star Trek Into Darkness, when young Spock calls old Spock to talk about Khan. That's the kind of concept we're going for here. Having said that, with all of these theories, let's be honest, if we are going to have a previous incarnation pop up in this memory TARDIS, it's likely to be David Tennant. Let's be honest. But while we're on the topic of cameos, here's something else that might be happening here. Like, what if Russell T Davies is going even deeper into the Doctorverse? So on the commentary track for The Giggle, Russell T Davies said that the bi-generation didn't just happen to the 14th Doctor and the 15th Doctor. It happened all along the Doctor's timeline. So the exact quote was, "I think all the Doctors came back to life with their individual TARDISes, the gift of the toy maker, and they're all out there travelling around in what I'm calling a Doctorverse." So also, in Tales of the TARDIS, the 7th Doctor says that there are some timelines where he regenerates and there are some timelines where he grows old, hence why in that particular version of events he looked older. Basically, it was a way for them to explain how you could have these past incarnations of the Doctor back, but they look older. We needed to explain that somehow. Basically, we have a whole Doctorverse out there of Doctors who regenerated as normal, Doctors who bi-generated, and then Doctors who never regenerated and grew old and just kind of lived a normal life. So this could mean that this memory TARDIS could belong to one of those Doctors along that timeline. So maybe one of the older Doctors that we saw in Tales of the TARDIS might actually appear. My brain is getting a bit confused because there's like multiple versions of the character existing in different ways now, so it literally could be anything. It could be the aware older version of the 7th Doctor, or it could be like the 7th Doctor. My brain hurts. My brain hurts with this whole Doctorverse situation. What I will say, I mean, I've just said how much this is hurting my brain and confusing me quite a lot. Even just trying to get my head around how to explain it in simple terms to explain it to you. I'm trying to jumble it in my head so it makes sense to myself. What I kind of hope is that Russell T Davies doesn't make it too complicated with this kind of multiverse stuff. You know, I mean, he did say that the Doctorverse is a thing, but I don't want it to become, you know, you have to do homework in order to understand what the hell's going on. So let's step aside from the Doctorverse for a second. Another theory is that the timeless child. Could the Doctor be looking into his past for answers about who he really is? We know that his and Ruby's kind of shared orphan status will be the spine of the whole show, as said by Russell T Davies. So what better way to kind of unlock some secrets about your history than to go inside a memory TARDIS? I mean, the clue's in the name. Is this how you access these repressed memories? And we know that Russell is actually leaning quite heavily into the Timeless Child arc. It's not going away. Controversial as it is, it doesn't seem to be going away like we initially thought it would. I mean, there was a point where we thought, oh, Russell T Davies will address it slightly and then we'll move past it. It seems like he's rolling with it. To a point where, I mean, at least we're going to get some exploration and deeper understanding of what this is. I think that's a better payoff. I mean, the 13th Doctor spent this whole series seeking answers, and then when they were right there in her hand, she chose not to open the fob watch and just dropped it inside the deep depths of the TARDIS, and it felt massively underwhelming to have built towards what we thought were going to be answers, and then there weren't any. But I wonder if maybe 15's travels with Ruby kind of reignite his desire to learn more about who he is, and maybe the memory TARDIS is a way to do that. So another possibility, I mean, if we base the fact on that, we're pretty certain that this shot is from the finale, the season finale. I mean, Ncuti's wearing that leather jacket that we've seen him wearing in other shots in Unit HQ. Also, it's quite clear from this particular screen grab that it's Mel. Mel is in this TARDIS with him, and we know that Mel is going to be in the finale. If this is the case, then what if this actually has something to do with the Legend of Ruby Sunday, which is the penultimate episode, and we know that it's a 2-part finale? If Mel is there with him, we can see that Mel is there. Who can't we see? Ruby. Where is Ruby? Now, yes, she could actually be in there as well, and you just can't see her with the doors open. But more likely, she's not there. Where is she? What's happened to her? Now, I wonder if she's maybe become lost within time, lost within a memory, taken by a villain into time somehow. You know, we've had this theory from other shots that we've seen in various trailers. We keep thinking that Ruby is going to have to, like, revisit her own timeline, travel back in her own timeline and learn things about her past or access memories. We've spoken about how some shots look like she's stepped within a memory of some sort. So what if that is what's happened, and the only way to get her back, to retrieve her, is for the Doctor to use a memory TARDIS to basically travel inside those memories as well? That, I feel like, is the most likely theory so far. We've speculated quite a lot that, yeah, Ruby's going to have to delve into her own past, into her own memories, into her own history to uncover the truth of who she is. And what if she becomes lost in there, or stuck in there, or trapped in there by something? And yeah, the memory TARDIS is the only way that the Doctor is able to access those same memories and travel into them. So again, as I said, with the penultimate episode being titled The Legend of Ruby Sunday. And what is a legend? It's a story, it's a myth, it's a memory. So, and we've spoken on the channel before about how we have this theory that Ruby might not actually be real, that she might have actually been a myth that came into being as a result of the Toymaker. So maybe the Doctor is trying to use the memory TARDIS in some way to kind of make her real, to make the myth real, so that Ruby can continue to exist in some way. So there's a lot of theories and speculation about just literally one shot in these new teaser clips. But I kind of like that this is such a confusing concept and it's so mind-blowing that you literally have no idea what's going to happen, and I kind of want to leave it like that. I'm quite excited to just watch the episode and to allow myself to be shocked and surprised by whatever it is that they end up doing with this concept. Now, I suppose the one final question that we do need to ask is, do we think that this particular shot was revealed intentionally, or do we think that someone on the marketing team has made a boo-boo? This wouldn't be the first time that a boo-boo has been made, particularly with regards to recent trailer releases. I'm not sure if there's a little bit of lack of communication going on between the Disney side and the BBC side. It seems that Disney are being well prepared and preparing things in advance with regards to trailers and things that they are going to release. They're just not being very careful about the fact that just because you have it unlisted doesn't mean people can't find it, and they do seem to have been the source of a few leaks lately. I don't know. I mean, it very well could have been intentional. Look at the talk that it's got going. Also, the clip varies depending on what version of the trailer or ad or clip is that you've seen. So it could be intentional. I honestly don't know. Is it a red herring? Have they just edited that background just to throw us off? I wouldn't put it past them at this point. I really, really wouldn't. But yeah, I think if this was released unintentionally, then they need to knuckle down on who is in charge of releasing these things and making sure they're not releasing before they're supposed to. But as always, we enjoy watching everybody freak out about literally one shot. It's very exciting, and as I've been saying for I don't know how many weeks, we've got like no time left to wait. We've got 2 weeks. 2 weeks? It's not this weekend, next weekend. Less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 weeks to go. As I said at the beginning, make sure that you have subscribed. We've got so much coming with regards to season 1. We can't wait, and we want you to come along for the ride. In the meantime, I've been Ellie for WhoCulture, and in the words of Riversong herself, goodbye, sweeties.